Somebody just said something. Well, welcome back. Well, what I had intended to do just got canceled. Had something else planned. You know, when plans fall through, what you do. Oh, that knife is so bad. So, what I'm going to do, I have to sharpen this Spyderco in Damascus, VG10 Damascus, but my friend Jason sent it to me to sharpen, brought it to me to sharpen, but he wants a notch put in it. I don't think you guys ever see me do that, so I have to get ready here. Hey, your knife is done too, Mr. June Song. Did I pronounce it correctly this time? Your bodega is done, and I just have got to get some customs forms. Knife didn't even hold up to that. So I have to get some customs forms to send it to you. So when I get that figured out, we'll figure out what the shipping is, and you can just send me the shipping. I'll ship it, and then you can tell me what it's going to cost. There's my newest Patreon, I believe. Lock. What was that? Lock 2517. So I don't think I've ever big sharpening notches like what I put in on that cold steel that I was just doing was did you? I didn't pay attention. I apologize. May have. I drink a lot and I smoke weed. It happens. So the big sharpening notches I do on the small wheel on the grinder. Not as time consuming. It's nerve-wracking because you can really screw a knife up that way. But small notches like what I'm about to do, and I will get the camera set up so that you guys can see it. I do right here, and I do it all by hand. There's no chance of overheating the material, no chance of overheating the steel. Nothing wrong with weed. You goddamn right. It lets me sleep, and it fucking helps with my chronic pain. So I don't have a soft jaw vise. Matter of fact, my vise doesn't even have a fucking handle. So I've cut myself out a couple small pieces of cardboard to protect the blade. These were the ones I used last time. They're a little bit big. So we're gonna get this turned here. Let me get this turned around. Let me get behind it so I can make sure that you guys are able to see what I'm doing. Let's see here. Now, you guys, I'm not going to be able to answer any comments or anything while I'm doing this because the camera is going to be turned around so you can see what I'm doing. So I apologize for that. What was that? Sub because of bird. I did do a video and I did revisiting. So okay, so you guys can be able to see what I'm doing. No, not horizontal. I can't read the comments if it's horizontal. And you guys can't see what I'm doing. So let me get this set up here. So like I said, I'm not gonna be able to see you guys' comments because I am not able to see the screen. So basically, I get this blade in here, and I make myself a soft jaw vise by using those pieces of cardboard. Crank it down. It doesn't have to be stupid tight, but I mean tight enough I don't want the blade to move. And I get digging around in here and find my two important tools that are in this drawer. You guys ever get fed up with the fact I'm never prepared for any of this stuff? There should be a round file and an angle file in this drawer for this purpose. We might not be doing this just yet. I don't know what I did with my files. Well, let's look around on the bench. It might be a dummy and leave them lay. So, I have a cup for tools, never put them in it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this round file, this flat file, and if I can find it, I have an angle file, but the flat file will work just fine too. You got to have a diamond file because it's already hardened steel. So, yeah, that'll work. So basically what I do, so you guys can see, let me make sure that you guys can see. Let me plug my phone in too so that we don't lose you guys partway through this. Anybody ask any questions while I was gone and unavailable? Cold steel, use your handles. Okay, so anyway, basically, once I get that in there, and I come basically to the ricasso, I'm going to take this and I'm very carefully going to cut myself a half moon notch. Until I feel that it's as deep in there as I want it. And these don't take me very long. So there I have a half moon notch. I'm going to take this flat file. And I'm just going to file that down in until they touch. And then I'm going to take that round file and I'm going to work it up in that notch that I made to widen it out a little bit and give it a nice round profile. The key is not to let it slip out of that up onto the blade. And then we're going to This is my friend Jason's knife. So I'm trying to, this is a gorgeous knife. I don't want to do anything to it that would make it, that would change the appearance of the knife. Put it up. I'm going to see where we're at with that. And I think my angle needs to come down in a little bit further. Give it, what I'm trying to give it is almost a half teardrop shape, which I've got. I'm just gonna take the round file, make sure that there's no lines in there, take it out of vise, and presto changeo. Get back behind here so you guys can see it. That Spyderco has got a notch that allows me to get all the way back, and I haven't taken off that much. So now we'll turn this back around. Ooh, wrong knob, wrong knob. We almost fell. You guys almost fell. So somebody just asked why I don't use a Dremel. I need to go the other way with this. Sorry guys, sorry. Why don't I use a Dremel for that? Why don't you use a Dremel to cut and lay in a sharpening notch? There's a reason. one, I don't have a Dremel. Two, that took me, what, 5 minutes, if that? Why run the risk of ruining the temper of a blade or screwing up the blade? I'm not using a Dremel. Not everything, not... Doing things faster is not always better. Especially in a situation where you have a very, very nice knife that you want to maintain the aesthetics of and not let it get out of control. Very, very, very easy to do that with a Dremel, where it gets out of control and then you're, oh crap, I fucked up this guy's knife. It's a friend of mine, I don't want to screw up his knife. The reason I do things the way I do is because sometimes I think that going old school and doing things the way that they were done years and years ago, the way my grandfather did things, sometimes they're better. Sometimes they are better. And somebody just asked me, do I like VG10? I love VG10. VG10, in my opinion, is one of the best steels around. It fits the bill for a lot of stuff. There's a reason that Japanese makers still use it. It takes a gorgeous edge. You don't have to go to a super high. June, I will let you know when I ship your knife. If it is more than $50, I will get in touch with you. So now I'm currently resetting the edge because somebody did this on pull through. So I'm gonna have to take off some metal. On a really coarse diamond plate. You need to account for your services too. Well, hello, Sean T.N. Peer. Uh-oh, we're gonna have problems. You can't go too fine a grit on VG10. If you do, you're gonna lose it. S35VN, in my opinion, is kind of the same. You don't want to go much above 3000 grit with S35VN, unless you're just sharpening for aesthetics. S35VN will get cloudy. 14 people in here. There are 14 people who are willing to take time out of the day to watch me do this shit. Alright guys, we gotta go on a field trip. 16,000 grit. That's... The only people that get a 16,000, 15,000 is my friend that is a woodworker. He makes guitars. He has some super fine... I have to go get a towel. I have got to go get a towel to hang out, or to wipe blades off with. Ooh, a Belgian yellowette. Those things are so fine. They're not out here anymore. My wife put them back in the house. What up? Who was that? Ken. Yeah, I'm back. I was unable to do what I had intended to do, and so I was like, fuck it, I'll just do another video. Another live feed. I need my wipey towel. On the ground today. Yeah, I'm not fucking making that shit up. I'm not making it up. Yeah, 6,000 grit. For a kitchen knife, you could get away with that. For an outdoors knife, for knives that I'm using for outdoors-ish stuff, I don't go above about 3,000 grit. because I want, I know what I'm going to use it for. Customers, a lot of times, if they don't tell me they want something different, I take it straight to 8,000 grit, which is what you get for $25, which is my base charge. If I'm taking stuff to 17,000 grit, it's just, it's probably straight razors. So Sean, the TMPer, asked me what I think about LMAX from Microtech. My Microtech DOC is an LMAX, so is my Ultratech. I have no problem with theirs. My DOC did not seem like it wanted to hold an edge at first, and I thought, oh, okay, Jay Davis, he's right about it, and this and that. And then I realized after I took off the initial edge that it was fine. ZDP 189, it's pretty great as long as you're not having to do a tip repair. I just did a tip repair on one. I have to get with Jeremy and let him know that I have to charge him a little bit more for that tip repair. It took a bit. So what do we got here? You guys are awful quiet this time. I apparently just got another copyright claim. I wish I had my other phone or my iPad here. I could tell you what it was. So I did my vlogs from Disneyland, and the music that was part of the shows is copyrighted, and so I knew it was going to happen. I did not even attempt to monetize them, but I got these copyright claims and stuff like that. Now, it doesn't mean my videos got taken down. Buy it stateside, that means buying it in the United States. That's a military thing. Stateside, if you're stationed overseas. I'm gonna head back stateside. I wish that I had gotten in touch with James Yates, my British customer, while I was at the knife show, because he really wants one of those Hinderer Slippets, which is their slip joints. They are really nice. They hold up, they got really good retention. Sharpening strategy for M390. All profiling gets done on this super coarse diamond plate. That's edge corrections, things like that. Then I moved to the aluminum oxide and silicon carbide stones because they cut it really well. And then once I get a really good edge, I finish on a couple of Chaucera stones. So somebody had asked me further back in the feed, and I didn't answer, I apologize. Somebody asked what I use for my high grit stones. I have the Naniwa Super Stones, and I have Chaucera stones, all the way up to, I have a Shapton Cream. This is a DMT. I have a Shapton Super Cream 12,000 and one that's a 17,000 that stays in the house in a box. It doesn't get used for much anything. Straight razors mainly. So M390 is really, really, really abrasive resistant. I try not to use my water stones until I get all the way up to the to about the 3,000 grit. What do you mean this is different, Josh? I do Instagram feeds and YouTube live feeds. So that was my friend Josh Bender. We've as I was saying in my Instagram feed, I don't think of customers and some of my subscribers and followers, I don't think of them as just a number when you think of subscribers, or as a customer, only a customer. I form relationships. So if you guys remember, there was a young kid named Ben that sent me a knife and asked if I could do the entire sharpening video. I talk to that kid all the time. He's like 15 years old. And asked me questions about knives. He wants to start his own YouTube channel where he reviews knives, but he does it in a more scientific fashion. Somebody just asked something. J Nats or Escher? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So you know, a lot of my YouTube subscribers and Instagram followers, I could tell you their first name. I could tell you where they live, you know, at least what country they live in. If they've sent me knives, I probably have their address saved so I can send them shit back. Something stinks out here. It smells like poo. And I can't figure out where it's coming from because I smelled it yesterday when I was doing this. Let me see, did I miss any other questions while I was goofing off doing this? Tell your UK customer, Maximet. I've never sharpened Maximet. I got a sneaking suspicion. Did I fart under my hat? Is what under my hat? No, Thomas, there's no poo under my hat. You calling me a shithead? Hey, hang on a second. I just got that. It was cold out here. Now it's warmed up a little bit. We've got that about where we want it on any coarser, anything coarser. I'm an idiot. So, Kimura Kid, did you ever use Falcon DDC, CS sharpeners? I've only fixtured system that I've ever used has been I had a Smith's and I had a Lansky, which are basically the same, and then I had the Edge Pro that I still use the stones for. Mr. P, weed for. I fell when I was like 19 or 20. I fell and I broke my neck in the Navy. I didn't get out because of it. I dislocated my hip, my knee, and broke several ribs, but I did. I broke my neck, and then I wound up, I have fused vertebrae in my lower spine. And the weird thing about it is it's because I have an autoimmune disorder. It's fused on one side, but not on the other side. I have a lot of weirdness where my back is. I get this weird walk to me, like I'm crooked, and I get the like severe cowboy walk. Part of it's because I rode amateur rodeo for a while, some other stuff. But I have chronic pain from that. I have chronic pain in my neck. I get severe migraines, and I have some PTSD issues. So all those put together, I've got I got my weed pen. But it really helps with the chronic pain. My autoimmune disorder that I have causes chronic pain. So I've got, you know, I had a bunch of stuff going on. Will, that's funny that you say that. I have actually been dead sober and had cops stop me because they thought I had public intoxication. So I rode saddle bronc for a while. And I got that severe crooked walk. And it's more pronounced if I'm wearing a pair of cowboy boots, which I wear a lot. And I've been stopped and been breathalyzed and been dead sober. Like, I think you're too drunk to be out roaming the streets. Like, I didn't even drink, motherfucker. I just walk like this. For a guy whose dad was a cop, I don't have an overwhelming love for the constabulary. That'd be police for y'all. My favorite serrations? I don't like serrations at all. If I had to pick one, I would say Spyderco's are about the best because they stay sharp for fucking ever. And the knives are cheap enough that if it does get dull, like my Matriarch 2, if that thing gets dull, I don't know what it would ever get dull doing, I would throw it away and buy a new one because they're like fucking $60. I hate sharpening serrations. I can do it, but you're gonna pay me. If I have to, here's the thing, as the owner of this business, if I have to do something that I don't like to do, I'll do anything for a fee. But there are some things that I might set the fee to a point where I thought it would be prohibitively expensive. I had somebody do that to me. I was like, guy said he wanted me to do something, and I was like, I'll tell you what, it's gonna be expensive. He's like, well, I don't care. It's like, how much? And I'm like, I don't know. How much is too much? Because that's what it costs. He goes, well, it's not too much. I told him the price, and he was like, that sounds good. And I'm like, fuck. God damn it. I gotta do that shit now. So, a couple people have asked questions while I'm doing this. Anything, huh? I have news for you. Everybody's got a price, but here's the thing. If you're asking for something sexual, here's the thing. Unless you're a hot chick, I'm not going to be that into it. I'm probably not going to be that good at it. I'll cry the whole time. I'll use too much tooth. Dragging teeth. I'd be bad at it. I just... Well, I can put things in perspective. At work, I polish steel. We go from 1,000 grit to polishing cloth to 6 micron. Let me see, read that again. So I'm curious to go from 1,000 grit polishing to a polishing cloth with 6 micron, then 1 micron and 0.5 grit. Why do you go up so high in your grit progression? Because it's cheaper. It doesn't. I'm not polishing. If I was polishing, I would lose my micro serrations that I want. If I was polishing it any other way, if you look, that blade is coming down at that angle and coming back at that angle. That puts the micro serrations down this way. It is just like this was out here for an explanation. How convenient. You see this has a cut direction? So does this. That cut direction is down, not up, not straight. Those micro serrations I'm putting in, so if I was to try and do it any other way, like I'm trying to do the final polishing on that edge with a strop or something like that, I would not wind up with the edge that I'm looking for. Does that make sense? Because what does the cutting on a knife? They're little teeth, just like on a saw. Simple as that. I am sharpening a Delica in VG10 Damascus with an aftermarket clip. A really good friend of mine, Jason, brought me this knife to sharpen, and I have been basically putting it off long enough that I just really have got to get it done. Do I think, what was that? Do I think that most pocket knives use a thick blade stock? Not all of them. There's a few companies that do. Do you sharpen kukris? You pay me enough, I'll sharpen a kukri. The last one I did was, I think, 100 and something. Delica looks really nice. This is a very nice Delica. Jason has a lot of really nice knives. This is the first one of these in their VG10 Damascus that I have sharpened, though. So we are at the 1,000 grit. And for Jason, the things that Jason does, Jason is a martial artist. He's an instructor. This knife is going to be left right around 2,000. Maybe 1,000. I don't know yet. We'll see what this... I might just leave it at 1,000 for Jason, because what Jason would use this for is self-defense, and he's going to cut flesh. Going to cut a person. What do you think of Spyderco Manix 2 and Jade, and how hard is it to sharpen M4? M4 is a pain to sharpen. It's not horrible, but I've got to the point where there's not much that... Until I get something in at Maximat, I can honestly say that you know, I can honestly say that I've sharpened everything except Maximat. Do I prefer edges that cut great but are fragile, or thick edges that are strong but don't slice? Okay, so the Uncle Spoons. Your question is, do I prefer thin edges that cut great, or fragile that are fragile, or thin edge or thick edges? I have found the happy medium. Every knife that I do has a convex edge, which allows you to have the thin edge up front and material behind it to hold it. And you can ask Elliot Williamson, was on board, Christopher Williamson, who is the cynic, the epitome of a cynic when it comes to anything. I've sharpened his knives for him. He goes, hey, I gotta tell you, I'm on board with it. He's like, I'm on the recurve, or I'm on the convex edge bandwagon. He says, the knives that you've sharpened for me have held their edge really well. And I was like, it gives you the slice because material moves across it. It's thin at the edge, but it's got material behind it to keep it from chipping, and so that's what I do. So you get a thin edge at front, and then it thickens, and it is curved, like an appleseed grind, an axe grind. It's the same grind they use on samurai swords. So, that answer your question? There's if you're dealing with just a fixtured system where you can only get one angle, or maybe a compound angle where you have one angle and then you put a micro bevel on it, I don't like those. That's why I do it the way I do. The stone is moving, the knife is moving. Just that natural motion you wind up with. Yeah, Rocksteads have a convex grind. Can I fix? Okay, Sean, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to give you a tip, and if it does not work, you can send it to me and I'll see what I can do. I'm not making any promises. Ultratex. Take brake cleaner. Take the glass breaker off the end. Spray brake cleaner down through that thing. Tighten that window glass breaker back in with the pocket. You gotta make sure you put the pocket clip on it, or you'll screw stuff up. Let that thing dry out and put 2 drops of Rem oil. Don't use anything else. Rem oil. 2 drops of Rem oil. Try to fire it a couple times. It's gonna be sticky. After you fired it a couple times, fire it open. Put 2 drops of Rem oil at the base of the blade and just work it back and forth. That will save you sending me and charging you and things like that. If that does not work, then get in touch with me and we can see. Probably shouldn't keep doing that, where I basically give people information where I'm not gonna make any money. But like I said, I don't want to be like that. Yeah, this is my job. However, I want happy customers. I don't want to burden that cost onto their backs for everything. I'm going slow today. Oh, that's right, I cut the notch in too. That's why. Why is this knife taking so long? A dummy. Well, may go up 1 more stone. Very little pressure. I don't like Damascus steel. This one is a different type of Damascus steel. The only part that I'm sharpening is the core. So this is a laminated Damascus. It's not the same. Now, if you have the linear Damascus, like the one I made that knife out of, you run into problems because all those steels are different hardnesses because it's all put together. Damasteel, however, oh hey, the Uncle Spoons. Damascus steels don't look good and they don't sharpen well, and they wind up basically with a garbage edge because the different steels are different hardnesses, and so you wind up, as it comes through, you're touching those different layers of steel, and one will be harder than the other, and so you wind up with a really gritty feeling edge. This steel has got a core, and you can see it. The only thing I sharpened was the core, which is VG10. Damasteel is a completely different animal. I did a video specifically about Damasteel. People who don't know things. So Damasteel is a powdered metallurgy. It's two different steels put together. One of them is higher carbon, one of them is higher chromium. They spray them down in a pattern, they heat roll them, they forge them together. They're not forged together like forge welded together. They are a single piece of steel. And it is way better than Damascus steel because there's no stress points. There's no hammering, there's no folding, there's no chances of cracking in between those layers because they're not truly layers. While they are layers of steel that were put down by a machine with a nozzle, the atomizer, it puts it down in a specific layer and it can control their pattern. But once that gets heated together, exactly, zero risk of delamination. And when you sharpen it, it's all one hardness, it's all one plain piece of steel, and it winds up being perfect. And some of the stupidest, like the most ridiculous sharp knives that have ever left my house have been the Damasteel blades that Chris and Elliot made, and a couple of Damasteel Norsemen. The thing that I would say that comes almost exactly a second, like they're almost identical, is RWL 34, which is one of my favorite steels. Knock that burr off quick. Which RWL 34, so you guys know, is one of the elements in Damasteel. So basically, the steels are so close together in their composition that you can put them together, and then when you etch it, you wind up with a you end up with a darker steel, a lighter steel. It looks gorgeous. Oh, I got into the sharpening notch. You know, I've thought about that for a long time. I like ZDP 189. I've only done a couple knives in it. I owned a knife in ZDP 189, but I never had to sharpen it. I don't know what it would most closely compare to. What was that? Somebody asked me if I would consider buying a camera. Would you consider buying a camera so you don't watch a portrait? I'm watching a hostage video. Well, Thomas, here's the thing. No. If I bought a camera, I'd have to get an expensive camera that I could connect to my internet. This is a live feed. I could turn it sideways, and then you can't see what I'm doing. There's a reason we're in portrait mode. Or not in portrait mode, we're in landscape mode, we're in portrait mode. I know, I owe you guys a video about that. But if I turn it, you really can't see what I'm doing. So, there's a reason I do. All of my videos are, yeah, I'm not a full-time YouTuber. You get what you get. tell you something about what do I carry most frequently. The knives, there's two knives that I carry the most frequently, and they're both Ferrum Forge. One is my Ferrum Forge Fortis that my friend Nico, who's on here, got for me, and there's another one is a Ferrum Forge Archbishop that is a one-off. There's only one like it in the entire world, and I would never give that one up. Those are my two favorites. Let's get started on some of this stuff. Now, I have a Benchmade that came in. Maybe you guys could tell me if this is supposed to be this way. This little Benchmade here is a 698, and it has a recurve to it. You could see that that's recurved. I want to look it up and see if it's supposed to be recurved, because this is in 20 CV. Why recurve? Yeah, that's what I was thinking, around S110. Do you see it? I don't think it was supposed to look like that. So, well, let's go in and look. Most definitely. Now, they're Ferrum Forged. There's a difference. The Ferrum Forged knives that they make in-house are different than the ones that are being produced by that's just the Ferrum Forged designs. But we're going to look this knife up. I'm going to look it up right now and see if it's supposed to be a recurve. That is going to allow me to answer some of you guys' questions. Well, Anthony, here's the thing. You're talking about, as much as I know that we and Riat are probably better than American, I can't... 90% of U.S. makers are starting to look at having knives made in Riat, Kaiser, Reich. It's basically American manufacturing has priced themselves out of the market. And it's sad to say, but you have to... Spartan blade folders. I did! You showed a knife that you also gave your father. Which knife was that? That was my Ferrum Forged NTAC. So let's see here. Benchmade. Hey, Anthony, I'm not going to fault you for that. I buy American whenever I can, but I also recognize quality is quality. And my Riat is every bit as good as some $1,000 knives that I owned in the past, and I only paid $400 for it. That Riat that I did for Nico is amazing, and he didn't pay $1,000 for it, and it's better than $1,200, $1,300 knives I've had in my hands. It's, you know, oh crap, what am I doing here? I can't fault you for wanting to buy American, but I also understand the recognized quality. Oh crap! What is this? A Benchmade? What? 698. Benchmade 698. Images. We're gonna look at images. It appears as though it is intended to be a recurve. Yep. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to have a little bit of a recurve. Not much of a one. This one's got a really pronounced recurve to it. But guess what? I know a guy. What Riat do I suggest? Okay, there was a K4 that I saw as the recurve Tonto. I had one come in from my subscriber in New York. Jacob sent it to me, and I did some anodizing on it, and I did some I did the sharpening, and that thing was amazing. That was a gorgeous knife. But my Reat that I have, which is the Horizon D in carbon fiber, is amazing. Yeah. There's a handful of those knives that feel like $1,000 knife. And, you know, it's not so that you guys, if any of you guys know, it's not that Dave Deng is somebody that just is making knives for profit. Dave Deng is a knife nut. That dude, I talk to him pretty regular. He is a knife fanatic and just decided he was going to turn his shop into knives. He already had some, he was like, you know what? Fuck this. I love knives. I have a machine shop. I'm going to start making knives. And he does it. He does it right. The guys at Reich Knives are knife fanatics. I've talked to them. That's who's probably going to wind up doing that production knife of mine, the Hornet fixed blade production style. So it's just, you know, you recognize quality. You give people props for, you've got to recognize the quality. So let's see here. Is there anything I'm missing? In the dark, I like flashlights. I wouldn't go say any, because like I said, well, let's go look at it. Let's go look. Take a look. Does anybody have a love seat that looks like that at their house? Just covered with fucking knives? This is a love seat in my bedroom. That knife right there, it's 100% American made. I would take that over any Kaiser any day. My NTAC, 100% American made. Any day, I would take this over any knife produced in any other country. It's American made. This is my Fortis that Nico gave me. Same thing. You see a big Bark River. And this is my other Ferrum Forge. I have four, actually I have five. This was a gift from Elliot. This is my Pretium. Oh, the Bark River. This is the Bark River JX. JX5 Vengeful 1. That's a monster. That's a fucking sword. Yep, Nico is a great dude. So these four are my Ferrum Forge. There's my Microtech DOC. Those aren't custom. These are just knives that they produced. This one just happened to Elliot. Elliot's knives are custom to a point, but they're, you know, that's the same knife that all the other archbishops were. I got my Wee 601. I got my Sabenza that I anodized blue. This is, with the exception of this one, this case is pretty much all American-made knives. Well, this one's not. So, with the exception of the stuff that came in that's not mine, that's in this case, majority of my knives are American made. I have this one. These two were made in Japan. This is a Japanese knife. And this one was made in Japan. Pretty much, well, yeah, I forgot about this one. This was made in Taiwan. I need that right now, actually. So, a quality knife is a quality knife. I'm not going to say I'm not going to purchase something just because of where it was made. Especially if I know, like if it's a Chinese made knockoff or a clone or a copy, yeah, I'm not going to buy it. But a quality knife coming out of a reputable company like Reat or, yeah, Ann Reeves. They fucked up when Chris left. And I mean, I know that they got divorced and shit, but I mean, they're trying, and they're nice. They are nice, but they're nice people. But Chris Reeves' knives were much better when he was there. Nico, he's right. You are probably one of the most selfless dudes I've ever met. It's just too bad you got to stand on a box to get the good beer at the store. So that comes from here a couple weeks ago. The brewery that we always go to, which is right across the parking lot from Fair and Forge Knife Works, was closed. And so happy hour turned to us drinking at the shop. Chris and Elliot's shop there, Fair and Forge. And so Nico had paid me for some modifications to a knife I'd done for him, and I basically gave him back the money and told him to get some beer. And he called me, and before he could even say anything, I answered the phone. I was like, look, if you can't reach the beer on the top shelf, get a box or ask somebody tall to help you. And Elliot almost fell out of his chair. He's like, Jesus Christ, dude, you didn't even think. You just shot that out there. So, if you guys don't know, this is what my Instagram feeds are a lot like. We just bullshit. All right. So it's now that I know that Benchmade is the way it's supposed to be, I do believe that I'm going to do this one. Who was that? Polar Weiss. All right, Edelweiss. Check this out. I'm kidding. I love Belgian beer. I'm in California. One of my favorite beers is Belgian beer. But when it gets down to it, my favorite beer is free. My second favorite beer is cold. Now, my favorite beer doesn't necessarily have to be in conjunction with my second favorite, because if it's free and it's warm, I'll still drink it. From Palmdale, I had a job offer. I worked for Lockheed Martin. William, I don't understand what you're talking about. So, what was I getting ready to say? So, oh yeah, I had that job. I was working as a contractor for Lockheed Martin for the Department of Defense before I got picked up by the Department of Defense. I ran base access and I ran base access, I ran counter surveillance, I ran the weapons shop, and I ran the vehicle inspection points. And when that job was going away, after I quit and I took a full government job, not just contractor, because I was already retired, I was offered a job up in Palmdale doing security up there. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Bro, like I said, I just love beer. It's something that makes me happy. There it is. I knew I put it somewhere. So these knives came from our anonymous benefactor, along with that big honking behemoth that's in there in my bedroom. Now, before I do this, because we're at about an hour, I don't want this to be more than an hour. I'm going to end this. I will do an actual video, I think. It's getting late. I'm running out of time. I got a lot done today. I really did. I'm able to get this stuff out to customers. I scotch myself, but I love scotch. I want to take some video of the sharpening on these, and he has an Edge Pro, or I'm sorry, not an Edge Pro, he has a Wicked Edge. And the thing with those fixtured systems that I notice is a lot of times the tip winds up getting screwed up because Oh, I'm gonna. When I've got it in hand like this, I can control where the blade, if I'm trying to use that wicked edge and I get going fast, the tip angle gets screwed up. And so this blade comes up and then it has almost a flat here, and then the blade just drops off because people drop the... Have you ever considered reaching out to Ricky at Burrification? Boy, Anthony, don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel. Burrification. I do not know. Have I ever reached out, considered reaching out to Ricky at Burrification? I don't know what Burrification is. Enlighten me, sir. Or ma'am, I don't know. Might be a female. Possible. I have female subscribers. I don't know why I'm ugly as fuck. It's chilly again. I'm waiting. Enlighten me on what burrification is. We need so EN510. I don't know what burrification is. To tell you the truth, I don't watch a lot of other YouTube channels. I watch Off the Ranch, and then I catch stuff that's recommended. I'll tell you what I do watch. I watch all the little clips from the Steve Wilco show. So, because I'm a hillbilly, and for some reason, three things that a hillbilly cannot pass. Steve Wilco show, right? The Jerry Springer show. If you're scanning through channels, if you're a hillbilly, it's gonna happen. You're just gonna stop. And the as seen on TV aisle at any store, at any Walgreens. You walk into Walgreens, you're gonna see like 3 hillbillies just standing looking at all the stuff as seen on TV. It's like, you think that really works? I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna see. It says you can cook a potato in that little thing. I'm gonna get one. It's just how we are. It's genetic. You can't, like, I'll walk past it like, oh, hey. Come with me, Sean, TM Peer. I'm going to show you what I like. I have expensive taste for somebody that's so back-ass country. I do believe I have a little bit of it left. I hope I didn't drink all of it. I do believe that there is a little bit left, and I couldn't afford what I wanted, so I got the 16-year-old. So this is Tom and Towel Space Aid Glenlivet, and it is amazing. I have had this 18-year-old that was a double barrel. This was a gift. It was a gift from a friend of mine. He's in the British Navy, and he came to town. He bought me that. I've had that bottle for 2 years. It's so good, and I can't bring myself to drink the last little bit of it. It is so good. It's that good. I just got goosebumps thinking about how good it is. So, it's not cheap. That shit. I think the 16-year-old is. I think that 16-year-old is like $220 a bottle, something like that. $220. I've seen it for cheaper, but like $160 and shit like that. But I wanted to get an 18-year-old here a few years ago. Well, I mean, who doesn't? But I mean, an 18-year-old Scotch a few years ago, a Tom and Towel. But the guy told me, he's like, oh, they don't have an 18-year-old this year. And I was like, what do you mean they don't have an 18-year-old? I said, well, the guy at the place, because it's a single malt, the guy that is in charge of it said that the batch that they were going to use for 18-year-old, when they tasted it, did not come out the way they wanted. So they're saving it and trying to see if it will mature into a 21 and we'll be able to save it. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, there's no 18-year-old this year from Tom and Towel. I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, that happens. He's like a 16-year-old. I was like, I like my whiskey to be able to vote at least. My scotch, but that 16 is so smooth. So guys, should we keep this going? I mean, I can sharpen something else. Should we keep this going or should I cut it? It's been an hour. You know what? Fuck it. I'm bored. Well, I looked into it and I looked online, and in all honesty, the guy that does all the tasting and everything, they put out a notification that there will be no 18-year-old. That batch did not mature the way they wanted it to. And he's like, he basically said that they would not release an 18-year-old that was not up to their standards. And I was like, I can't argue that. You got to have some integrity. What do you got? What do we got? Let's do one of these scimitar blades. These are wicked looking. These still have a factory edge on them. Let's see here. That's 35 BN. These are so much fun to sharpen. Yeah. I don't want to do that on a YouTube video. You know, I'm not going to do that on a YouTube video. I don't need that. That doesn't need to be out there. It's on an Instagram live feed, though. What do we got? Who's got a question? I don't like the fact. So you carry, I know it's near. I do, but I'm basically, if I ever get caught, I'm going to have to ask forgiveness because they won't give me permission. Depends on the situation, depends on where I'm going. I have a 5-shot 38 revolver that sits really well in my in the holster I have for it. On this. Which knife is this? This is the Sinkovich design for, it's the 0460 for ZT with carbon fiber, and it's kind of a unique coloring. I'm gonna have to do some pictures of this one. Like I was saying, I have that little 38. I also have a 5-shot 45 with a 4-inch barrel that I have extended mags for. That will make it a full size 1911 basically. It's the it's a Springfield XDS, and I love that thing, and it carries nice and flat. And I have an urban carry holster that it fits in, and you can stick it just down the front of your pants, and it looks like a phone case. You pull it up, and it disappears. You can't even see it. It doesn't pattern. Well, I'm sure it does, but it doesn't pattern to the point where most people would be able to notice it. I would notice it, but it's because I did counterterrorism for the Department of Defense. So my great big fucking 44 Magnum revolver, though, however, will not carry so easily. Friends, what do you need that for? Well, to quote my friend Pip Corona, that's in case the bad guy is behind the refrigerator at the neighbor's house. Fuck no, I've shot the Smith & Wesson 500. Ridiculous. So many other things I'd rather do, like things I would rather do than shoot the Smith & Wesson 500. I would rather pull my ball sack up real tight to where there's no wrinkles and just pull one of those nuts up and just sit and thump it. Just flip it. Boom, 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 for like a half an hour. That's something I'd rather do than ever shoot a Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum again. There's no need for it. I thought it had broke my... I got big fucking hands and arms and wrists. It's just, there's no reason to ever own one of those. You know, unless you need to bring down aircraft. In case you need to shoot at a helicopter or something. I shot the 500 and it's not fun. Now, 44 Magnum's not much better, but in all honesty, the hollow points and shit I've got for that is, why I don't want to shoot the 500? Because it's not fun to shoot. Why don't I like the 500 Magnum? There is no enjoyment factor in shooting that gun. None at all. 44 Magnum it kicks enough, as a matter of fact. Later, Sean. It's ridiculously expensive to shoot. It doesn't really... Can't use it for anything unless you're trying to stop a Buick. Yeah, I have one of those, but I would rather it beat the crap out of my shoulder than break my frickin' wrist. A 12 gauge shotgun does not kick that bad. You got a micro, who's that? We got a microtext that already kicks. There's a little bit of recoil on them DOCs. That heavy blade comes snapping out, don't it? You must have the automatic version. I shot 10 gauge. I don't see a reason for a 10 gauge. Being a hunter, I don't see a reason for a 10 gauge. You're gonna just destroy the majority of the meat you're trying to claim anyway. Well, places that I go where there are bears, that's what the 44 is for. That 44 Magnum is for the chance that I may run across a bear. We have bears where I live in Ohio. Not many, but we have some. Population's picking up more, from what I understand, but if I was going out in the woods, I would definitely want I would take the 44. Now, we had, I don't know if my dad still had it when he passed away. You guys are back already? Holy cow, they're back. My dad had a 10mm, and he said that would be sufficient for bear. 10mm kicks like fucking hell too. It's not that it's not manageable, it's just not. Sorry, I got time. Not here. Ohio, I did. Well, they are home, so I am going to have to end this feed because you guys are right. I did not walk the dog. Thank you for reminding me. And it's getting dark. So, you guys take it easy. And now that my wife is back, I can shoot before and after pictures of that damn mosquito. Before and after pictures of that cold steel I just finished. So, I'm just going to have to finish this later. Alright guys, take it easy. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later. Bye.